Trade deadline is come and gone, so let's talk Winnipeg Jets. They made a lot of moves. There was 5 done by the Jets leading up to the trade deadline. We're going to walk you through each trade, break you the information. I'll give you the trade grades at the end. We'll talk about the players that were acquired, the new pieces, the new toys, the new snacks that came in by Kevin Cheveldayoff, and what we think about the Jets going forward. Before we get to all the Jets trades, Hot Garbage Sports is brought to you by BetUS. Head over to BetUS.com. Use code HGS for a 125% deposit bonus on your first deposit to bet on hockey and bet on your Stanley Cup favorite. All proceeds go to help this channel. The big trade that the Winnipeg Jets end up making is with the New York Rangers. And Cheveldayoff, clearly now that he's 11 years in, we can see he's got some relationships with some general managers out there. New York seems to be one. He did a deal with them with Trouba. So now he sends over his buddy Andrew Copp over to there. And it's no coincidence that guys that are American want to go down to the big American cities, and this is where the deals end up being made. So what is the deal? The Jets end up getting over Morgan Barron, a 2022 second round pick with a condition we'll talk about in a second, a 2022 or 2023 second round pick. That's the Jets' choice. That's the condition in that pick. A 5th round pick in 2023, and they give up Andrew Copp and a 6th round 2023 draft pick. So who is Morgan Barron? He's a 6th round pick from Halifax. He's Canadian born. He's only played a handful of games in the NHL. It's under 20 actually to be exact. And he's played 25 games or so this year with the Hartford Wolfpack and about 21 games or so last year with the Hartford Wolfpack. There's not much of a pedigree to this guy. He's a depth player. You can see this deal when we break it down that this is just Chevy chiseling. He really wanted a 1st round pick. You could feel it. All the rumor mills were saying that Chevy was holding out till he got a 1st round pick, but at the last minute of the trade deadline, he does the deal with the Rangers because it's the best deal he got. 2 2nd round picks for Andrew Copp. So if you're sitting there going, he could have got more, he couldn't have. He tried. He really wanted that 1st round pick because 1st round picks are gold. We talk about it all the time on this channel. He ends up getting 2 2nd round picks. Now, what's a 2nd round pick worth? It's worth a 30 to 40% dart throw as to whether or not the player will play in the NHL. And the Jets do not have a good history of landing with their 2nd round pick. For all the praise that Cheveldayoff gets for being a great drafter, he finds players in the 1st round. He found Andrew Copp later in the draft. He found Connor Hellebuck later in the draft, which is normal. That's where you find goalies. He found Adam Lowry later in the draft, and another guy we'll talk about here, Mason Appleton, but he doesn't find gold in the late rounds like a Stevie Yzerman or some of the other teams out there. So most of his impact players come in the 1st round. He really wanted that 1st round pick. He didn't get it. But one of the 2022 picks could actually turn into a 1st round pick. The conditions that Chevy attached to it, and you can almost feel yourself in the room during these negotiations. Come on, he's worth a 1st. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Fine, let's attach some conditions to it. So the condition for the 2022 pick is if the Rangers go 2 rounds into the playoffs and Andrew Copp plays more than 50% of the games, that will turn into a 1st round pick. Now, Jets fans, don't hold your breath on this. I've broken down on this channel the New York Rangers plenty of times. Igor Shesterkin is the greatest goalie in the NHL. Hard stop. He's past Vasilevsky this year. Shesterkin is carrying the Rangers. The Rangers are Shesterkin. I know they have Panarin. I know they have Trouba. I know they have Lafreniere. He's not playing a huge role. I know they have Kakko Capo. I know they have Chris Kreider. Go ahead, continue naming the players and tell me how good they are. They're not that good. If you look at their underlying statistics for shooting, for scoring, they are in the 29th to 32nd pole position in the NHL, yet they're in the playoffs. That's how good Shesterkin has been. So could Shesterkin steal him around? Absolutely, but it is really tough to win 2 rounds in the NHL when all you have is a goalie. You absolutely need a goalie to win a cup. It's a prereq, but you need more than that. And right now, the Rangers don't have it. They got star power, they got names, they got contracts. They're just not producing the way they should be producing in order to be a Stanley Cup contender. So don't hold your breath. This is likely going to remain a 2nd round pick. The Jets also get to choose their second round pick, whether they want it in 2022 or 2023. My guess is they'll go with 2022. Why? Because it's a deeper draft. It's that simple. But hey, maybe they want to hold out because they want to defer some picks. They don't want to get too many guys in the system. It really is going to depend what Chevy sees in the draft. I would take it in 2022. I think it's a stronger year. And then finally, the 5th and the 6th round pick. We've talked about this a million times on this channel. Round 3 to round 7, it's all the same. there really is no statistical difference between hitting or missing in round 3 to round 7 in the NHL draft. It's why they dropped all those late rounds way back in the day. Remember, Big Buff was drafted in a round that never existed before, just simply because at this point in the draft, past the 7th round, oh my God, it is impossible to sort players at that point. And I'm even going to argue that between round 3 and round 7, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to sort players. And NHL teams prove that year after year because those rounds behave the same. Moving on in the day, the Jets pick up Zach Sanford for a 5th round pick. Like we said, if you can get an NHL player for a pick that has like a 10 to 20% chance to hit, which like the 5th round does. And when we talk about hits, we just talk about playing NHL games. We don't mean being a contributor. Zach Sanford is an NHL contributor. And I know it says Stanford there, but it's Sanford. S-A-N, not S-T-A-N. But hey, comment down below. It helps to share this video when you correct my grammar and my English. Zach Stanford comes in. He's 27 years old. He's had, 4 or 5 seasons in the NHL, mostly with the Blues. He's played with the Capitals as well, too. Then recently he played with some other NHL team. He puts up about 30 points, 20 to 30 points a year. So this is a guy that you bring in that you can put on your 3rd, most likely your 4th line. He's a depth piece, and we've talked about it. The Jets don't have great depth. So go ahead, sign Sanford. He's an NHL regular. He'll play in the Jets roster. I believe he takes out guys like Vesalainen, no problem. Harkins should be absolutely safe. But these are guys that the Jets have been missing all year in their bottom 6 to be able to help them contribute. Mason Appleton comes back to the Jets from the Seattle Kraken. Appleton's had an up and down year. He had a better year with the Jets last year than he did with the Kraken this year. We lost him in the expansion draft. We know Chevy likes his guys. He spends a 4th round pick. 4th round pick, just like the 5th round pick. It's not really worth much, so you get an NHL regular for a 4th round pick. That's a pretty good deal. So Appleton comes back to the Jets, should resume his role slotting in on the 3rd line, maybe even bumps up to the top 6 with Andrew Copp stepping out. Who knows? But Appleton's a pretty versatile player for the Jets. We're all very familiar with him. Heading over to Pittsburgh, the Jets and the Pens make a deal, and why not? Nathan Beaulieu's contract's ending, so let's go ahead and get a 7th round pick in for Nathan Beaulieu. You just gave up a 5th and a 4th round pick for Sanford and Appleton. You get a 7th round pick back, and like I said, they're all one and the same, so go ahead, add a pick after you lose 2 picks. You're just getting a few of your darts back for a guy that isn't going to be on your roster at the end of this year and isn't playing with you anyway. And then finally, the Jets make a trade with the worst team in the NHL, the walking clown show, the just banana nuts, the Arizona Coyotes. These guys suck. 4,500 fans. Give me a frickin' break. And because they're so unbelievably poor, they want to go ahead and get contracts in here that they don't have to pay for, that insurance can pay for, so they can hit the salary cap floor. This team's an absolute joke. It's an embarrassment, but good job on Chevy ditching Bryan Little's contract. You may not think it's a big deal to have these contracts on LTIR, but they actually are. They're a pain in the butt. You have to do a whole bunch of salary jigging before the season starts because they don't just go on LTIR and stay there. They come back up, they hit your roster with the salary cap hit, then you've got to wait for the season to start, then you can assign them to LTIR. This just gives Chevy way more flexibility going into the offseason this year. It's good to get that off. And he ends up ditching out Nathan Smith. Look, Smith is worth the 4th round pick at this point. It looks like Bryan Little's contract was just a giveaway. Nathan Smith's an absolute joke of a human being. He was drafted, let's see here. Where did you come from, Smith? You're 23, Tampa, Florida. Hey, Tampa, you're producing hockey players. Thanks, guys. This clown of a human being comes from Tampa, Florida. He's 6 feet. It's like 185 pounds. Yeah, I'm reading off the screen here. I'm not looking at you in the eyes, but hey, up here. He's playing for Minnesota State U, and the reason this guy's a clown is he gets drafted into the NHL in the 3rd round, and he has the audacity to tell the Jets, don't draft me, I'll never play for you. Are you kidding? You can't punch your ticket in the 3rd round. We just said 20 to 30% of people at best from the 3rd round play an NHL game. You'd like a job after school, I think, would you not? 1 year in the NHL is better than most jobs out there, and if you can carve out 2 or 3, congratulations. Your mortgage and everything's paid off for, but I guess they don't teach these guys math or manners down in Tampa Bay because this guy is an absolute loser. So go ahead, ditch him away. Any player that isn't drafted in the top 5 who says, I don't want to play for you, absolute joke. I even think guys who say, look, I don't want to play for this team and punch their tickets somewhere else. I don't like that either. I didn't like what Lindros did. Doesn't mean I don't like Eric Lindros, but I understand he was in the driver's seat to do this. Nathan Smith is nothing but a 3rd round pick. Chevy, for the love of Pete, stop drafting the American players late. Throw some darts in the CHL. Go get some Canadian kids that are happy to play anywhere you put them. These guys play the game right. These guys that come from the States, they play the NCAA. They play 35 to 28 games a year. They're in the gym lifting weights, whatever. You need 75 games. You need to play in the CHL. I like college. It's fine. But hey, that's my rant about Nathan Smith. I'm just really keyed up that this kid said, I don't even want to attempt to play here. See you later, pal. All right, so let's go ahead and grade Cheveldayoff's trade, starting with the Rangers. I'm going to give this one a B. At the end of the day, Andrew Copp was a super productive player for Winnipeg here. We basically nickel and dimed him through arbitration. It was a real slog for Copp. I kind of feel bad for him, to be honest. I thought he was a really good player for the Winnipeg Jets. I'm fine that he's moving. I think he had to move on this one. You couldn't re-sign him with what was going on next year anyway, and he probably wasn't going to re-sign after Chevy just jerked him around for years with arbitration. So you end up getting 2 seconds. I would give this one an A if they ended up getting a first round, because I do think Copp is worth the first round, but I think after all the concussions and the injury concerns, it ended up going down, and it's too bad that he had 2 this year. So I really think that ended up killing his value this year, having those conkies. It's just too bad. So Chevy gets a B. It's fine. B for pretty good. B for pretty good. B for better. Whatever. Gets a B. It's not an A. But I do like the fact that he added condition there that if somehow the Rangers go on a miracle run, that can turn into a first. So the Pittsburgh Penguins, I give that deal a B with Nathan Beaulieu. I mean, I would have dealt this guy in the offseason. The fact that we even carried that contract I thought was ridiculous. If he would have dealt it in the offseason, I would have given him an A. But he didn't. He held on to him for depth. We end up here. He ends up getting a B, but we could have done something with that $1.25 million, especially in terms of depth players up front. Seattle Kraken and give him an A. Why not? It's a free pick. It's 4th round. It's nothing. Go ahead. You paid a penny to pick up a guy that's going to play on your third, maybe even your second line. I really like that Mason Appleton comes back. That one gets an A. The deal with the Yotes, B+. Smith wasn't going to play here anyway. Give yourself some cap flexibility. Yotes jokes. Go ahead. The Yotes jokes. B+ for this deal. And the final deal for Zach Sanford, I give it a B. Again, I wish a guy like this would have been brought in the offseason, to be honest. I mean, we needed a couple more guys like this, but hey, here we are. We get it done. I'll go ahead and pay a 5th round pick and take a player like that all day, every day. So overall, I'm grading Chevy somewhere between a B and a B+ on this one. He didn't do too bad. There's a lot of confusion though, like when you're really thinking this through, like he added some players, some depth guys, but he sold some guys. I mean, I'll be honest, guys, I don't know where Kevin Cheveldayoff's direction is on this team. In my opinion, Kevin Cheveldayoff has drafted his guys over the last 11 years. He loves his players. That's why he brings back Appleton. He thinks he's a genius. He thinks his players are great. He thinks this team is ready to go. The team is not going to make the playoffs this year. I don't think Chevy has any delusion of that anymore. That's done. But I think he's going to give them 1 more year as a group. I'm not anticipating some massive moves in the offseason, but maybe you are. If you are, let me know down below in the comments. I think he's going to keep these guys back together, add a couple depth pieces in to get some depth scoring, and we'll end up seeing what they do next year. But I think we're going to have to grit our teeth for 1 more year with most of this core here on the Winnipeg Jets. But at least we got a couple picks packed. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.